Hi folks, and welcome back to my garage. Today I want to show you how I repair and maintain those Hella main switches. So if you haven't tried to repair these switches, don't be afraid, they're not really actually that hard to fix. So let's get started. The most common one probably is this one, which is used in the SG and SGS, etc. But it's also used on the Puch scooter, and that's the SRA, the electric starter ones. So obviously you got your cup holders there for your neutral and indicator light. Then you got this one here, which is slightly different. It's for an SR, and it's easily recognized. It's got that fuse holder there for a ceramic fuse. This one doesn't have any cup holders, but there is actually SRs with foot shifter as well, and they would have the neutral light for the gears. And then this one here, which is for an RLA, similar in function to these SG switches and SRA switches, but fewer features on it. And the body is on this one is different as well. There's some general common issues that you get with these. So the first one is that the key doesn't stay in and pops out. So that's quite a common thing, and that's usually caused by. I'll just try to find the right key. I've got one that's really worn. With the keys, obviously they wear over time, and you can see them on the side. They're getting really flat, and so they're not staying in the notches. There's a pair of spring-loaded balls inside here that hold the key in place, and if this thing is so worn like this one is, then of course the key's not going to stay in, and then it's just time for a new key. I recently bought some new keys, and I found that they were overall a little bit short. And a friend of mine welded a drop of weld to the bottom of the key, and then I just filed it back to make it the right length again. That the key can't be inserted, and in that case, it's most likely that the spring-loaded balls here that hold the key are just seized inside the top of the lock, and that can be easily freed. I'll show you that later. When I clean these switches, I generally take all the screws out, and with some old ones, I found that it can be that the screws are really hard to turn, and in that case, I think it's really important that you hold on to the terminals with some pliers when you try to unscrew it, because otherwise the terminals could become dislodged from the plastic. It's not so bad on these ones, but the handlebar switches, which have those little round terminals, if you don't hold them and you try to open them up, you can actually break them out of the handlebar switches, and that would be a real shame because these are hard to get. Just use pliers like this and vice grips to hold it, and then unscrew the screws. But I usually give this a bit of a clean, just with a brass rotary brush. And once I disassembled everything, I put mine into a ultrasonic bath in the end to clean it. So this is pretty rough, but with a rotary tool, if you're very careful, you can actually clean these quite well. Okay, so let's take this thing apart. So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is straightening out those tabs. Just use a large screwdriver for that. Right, so it comes apart. So what do we have here? So first of all, we have our cylinder come out, which has inside a plastic pressure pin. Then we got our spring. Then we got this plastic part here, and they sometimes are broken. This one actually is correct, as you can see. I've actually 3D print my own new ones. And then we have the actual bridge that makes the contacts, and then we obviously got this. And this is the lock unit. So as you can see, the plastic pin is actually stuck, so I'll just push that through from the top, and there it is. So these barrels, they do have a pair of spring-loaded balls under this ring. So if you take that ring off, just careful, then you can have access to those springs here. Just take them out with your finger. And here's the other one. And then you have access to the balls, and I just use a bit of a bent piece of wire just to push those balls out. Here's number 1, and here's number 2. So I give those a good clean as well, and then we'll reassemble everything.
So after taking the little balls and spring out of these lock barrels, it's a good idea, of course, to give them a good clean. Sometimes the springs are a bit compressed and need to be taken or just stretched a little bit to make them work again. And it's also a good idea to just put a little bit of grease onto the springs and balls. I also put a bit of silicone grease onto the plastic pin as well that sits inside the barrel. You may find that your plastic pressure pin is a little bit worn, so in that case you can always buy a new one or make your own, or maybe find somebody who with a 3D printer who can print one. So I think they're about 14.3 millimeters long. So now is obviously also a good time to polish the top of the barrel.
So I've given all the parts a rough clean now, so to put it back together is not really hard. Straighten the tabs on that body here, but I'm putting it this way around. So in order, it's just put your plate on, put your plastic part in the middle here, then you use your thing here and put the spring over it. Oh, don't forget the pin. Of course, goes not beautifully inside and moves around freely. And so now we just put that in here for now, and that just sits like so. And before you put it in, make sure you got a screwdriver handy, because you'll need it in a minute. So the earth connection's facing towards the round end, and then you just push that on here. Now you're already halfway home, so now you start trying to line up your slots, and as you push it down, now you use your screwdriver to get the key to fit into the plastic part, and now we're in. Okay, now we turn the whole thing over. Now the important thing here is really, so I always do that on a hard surface, to push down hard on the end where you're bending the tab backwards. I'm using a bit of a thicker screwdriver, so I'll just bend this back in here now, and then I push on. I'll do the other one here first. I push on that as well. Push hard on it as I bend it backwards. And we'll give it another round later, and then this one, same again here. We push it down, and bend it over, and we push it down. Just make sure you don't hit your finger, obviously. And you bend it over. So now just going around these tabs one more time, and just give them a really good push to make sure that they're really in. So I use some pliers here, but here just give them another push. But they're good. This is not going anywhere.
If you need to manipulate this main tab because it's not making contact, my suggestion would be to use a parallel pin to go under it and then bend it by pushing on the other end as required. I've been using pliers in the past to bend them, but you introduce a little bit of a twist there, so that's not ideal. So that's the way I do it anyway.
Another problem is that the neutral light isn't working. So this is the lamp holder for the neutral light, and that's connected to that very flimsy little spring-loaded contact. So the bottom contact here is the main contact to the battery switch power, and that one, that thing up there is is connected to that lamp holder. So when you push the key in, the main contact spring is pushed up. It's making contact with that tongue here, which is the switched power, but also with that spring. And if that isn't bent properly, then you don't get a contact. It could also be dirty and just needs a bit of cleaning. So that's solving that and bending that up and down as needed. So the SR with its magneto design, which is similar to that of a moped, has a kill switch. And what I found most likely, if, for example, if you can't turn the bike off, then often that cable here has come loose or disconnected. That is the kill switch is then connected from terminal 2 through that cable, and then goes into the earth or the ground of the bike, and that turns the bike off. So here's our number 2 terminal, which is the kill switch. And here's our connection to earth. So now that the key is out, that's connected. When I push the key in, you can see the tab moving up. Just hit find the slot. Here we go. Then that's no longer doing it. And when I pull the key out, so on off kill switch in this case is connected. And for the I guess for the SG it's a similar pattern here as well. Of course, no kill switch, but connection to battery. I find, especially the older ones, is that the cup holders are very corroded. Those cup lamp holders, and this one's not too bad, but I've got some other ones. Let me see. This one, for example, totally rusted. So obviously you can try to just use a wire brush on a rotary tool, or even something a bit more abrasive to clear that away. But I'm actually working on a solution to replace these with LEDs. So I actually already converted some cup lamps to LED using the original housing and just putting an LED inside. But I'm actually looking at creating something completely different, especially for the my mate with his he's got an SR. Where's the SR switch? This one, and he needs the neutral indicator light, so that's gonna go here. And also I'm also working on an LED solution for the speedo light.
So here's the speedo light and the charge control light that I designed to replace the existing ones, printed out of transparent PETG. This one has 3 LEDs in the back, so the whole body lights up and gives a nice even illumination of the speedo. I do have the equivalent neutral indicator on that side as well. So this one has a nice red LED, quite bright, and I've got a bright green LED in this one as well. So these are just very basic, just the LEDs and a resistor in the back. And I've made some channels in the bodies to run the cables as well. And the whole thing is then covered in glue. If you want the design files for this, just get in touch and I'll send them through to you. I've been able to get all my switches going again, but if you need some spare parts, there are some available from both Weezer and also RBO. RBO even has a service where they will overhaul your main switch. I think it was 69 euros or something. So I think that's all. So thanks for watching and happy repairing of your Hella main switches. Cheers, see you next time, bye.